January 7th changed everything. Homes reduced to ash, a community shattered. But out of the devastation, a new story is being written, not just about what we lost, but about what we choose to build next. These are real, raw, honest conversations rooted in lived experience, telling the story behind the headlines, shining a light on the unseen struggles so many still face, and uniting around solutions to move us forward. This is a journey of healing and recovery, of rebuilding not just homes, but hope. By sharing these stories, we create the attention, pressure, and momentum needed to drive real, lasting change. Because on the other side of the greatest disaster will be the greatest rebuild our city has ever seen. Together, we rise, story by story, step by step, brick by brick.
One of the most important things is community and support and having a sense of purpose and relationships. That's all gone. What are we doing? And everyone says, what's your plan for the shops? And I'm like, what's my plan for my family?
So in the heart of Pacific Palisades, right across from the village, is the Yogurt Shop. And everybody in Palisades, well, we all know the Yogurt Shop. For me, it was my kids' favorite place to go after games or after dinner. They would always run in excited, knowing exactly what toppings they were going to put on their yogurt. So many photos and memories sitting down in the benches right outside, pausing for a minute and just creating moments together. And I know that isn't just true for me and my family, but so many families throughout the Palisades, as the Yogurt Shop, an iconic destination, really a container of important moments and memories. And unfortunately, the Yogurt Shop was one of many businesses that were lost in the Palisades fire. I had a chance to sit down with owner, fellow Palisades resident and homeowner, Adam Wolfson, as he's right in front of what remains of the Yogurt Shop, sharing his personal story of recovery and insight into what he believes is really needed most right now on all of our journey of rebuilding a bigger and better Palisades. Here's my conversation with Adam.
I just want to say I appreciate the time, and I know you're obviously juggling, like many of us, you're juggling family right now, you're juggling work, you're juggling your businesses, and I know you kind of went out of your way to be there and have this conversation live. So you said this is that's the third time you've been in front of the Yogurt Shop since January 7th?
Yeah, my wife and children have been here many times, actually. I just have no want to be here, no need to be here. I know what it looks like. I'm not salvaging anything, and I don't need to have memories. It's kind of, I know it's really, really sad story, but like my mom passed when I was 9 years old, and I'm Jewish. So in the Jewish, tradition, religion, you don't see the person's body, right? And I just, my dad said to me at the funeral when I was 9, and I said I wanted to see what mommy looked like. He's like, this isn't the image that you want to see of mommy for the rest of your life. And I'm glad that he did say that, because that's kind of how I feel about this. It's like, I don't want to see this. I don't need to have this image in my head for as much as possible. I have so many amazing images. I don't need to have this image stuck in there.
Well, I mean, I can feel that, and I appreciate you willing to kind of go there, and I think in a minute, for everybody who doesn't know you and doesn't know your story and maybe doesn't know the Yogurt Shop, in a minute we'll have you maybe show us where you're at. But let's kind of just rewind real quick, and I know we're 4 months out, right, from January 7th, but just to kind of create the setting, take us back to January 7th, January 8th. Where were you? Where was the moment where you realized this wasn't just a normal fire warning? Take us there.
Yeah, so I was actually on a call in Burbank at my office. I work for iHeartMedia. And I got these alerts just saying that there's a fire in the Palisades, which, we've been through that before. And my wife said, oh, I think it's where the January 1st fire was, because we could see the January 1st fire. I'm like, okay, just stay calm. And, she was, no big deal. And then about 20 minutes later, she's like, hey, it's getting bad. I think they're evacuating Marquez Elementary. I was like, okay, all right, well, then just start packing up. And my youngest daughter, who was at school, my older two who go to Pali High, it was still winter break, so they were actually home. And my daughter had her best friend sleeping over. So all of a sudden, I start walking down my hallway in my office. I start talking to some people. It's like, hey, I'm going to just go and see if I can help my wife kind of get some stuff out of there, have an extra car. Why not, right? I have a
Mm-hmm.
pickup. She's got a Yukon Denali XL, so she can fit. And we have 3 kids there, 4 dogs, 2 cats. So it's a menagerie of, just things you have to put into one truck. So I was like, all right, let me go help her. And on my way out, I was talking to one of my coworkers, and he's like, "Hey, I have a house in Ventura if you need for the night." I'm like, "I'm not going to need it. We've done this so many times. It's fine." And I start driving home, and I'm hearing more and more. My wife's like, "We can't get out." I'm like, "What do you mean you can't get out?" She's like, "There's apparently a pileup at the bottom of the hill because we're up in the highlands, so we can't get out." I'm like, "All right, well, there's fire roads. You're not stuck." And no one was nervous that something was going to happen to them. They were just curious as to what was going to happen to them. And now this is around 11:30, 12 o'clock, and I'm hearing more and more pile up, and now it's starting to get somewhat worse, but not horrible. At that point, my wife had her friend who lives in Tahitian Estates, the park right on PCH, go get my daughter from Marquez Elementary because they were going to bus them to Paul Revere, and I'm like, all right, let me just go get my daughter. We'll figure this out. So I start
Mm-hmm.
coming home, and I see traffic backed up on PCH going towards the 10. And I'm coming in like a free bird. I'm like, no one's coming in this way. So I come in, and all of a sudden it stops at Temescal. And my wife's like, all right, it's getting somewhat bad up here. Like, I want to get out of here, as you know, Blake, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you can't, they're not letting anybody out. Apparently at the bottom of the hill, because we can't see anything, you can't get out. But my wife and family, they can see the smoke, and it was just blowing in one direction, and right over our house, our street, it's clear as blue sky. But everywhere else is so smoky. And I'm coming in, and I'm coming from the 405 and whatever before that, and I'm like, holy, am I allowed to curse on this? I'm like,
It's open. Whatever you
I
feel
literally
comfortable
was like,
with.
holy fuck, the Palisades is on fire. And it wasn't like the Highlands, the Palisades is on fire. So
Yep.
I finally get in here. I have to park at Temescal and walk to Tahitian Terrace to get my daughter because PCH was closed at that point. And I'm like, hey, I live here. And everybody in front of me who's trying to get in is like, oh, I live here too. Like, I wasn't unique to trying to get in. So I park on Temescal,
Mm-hmm.
facing north. I walk to Tahitian Terrace, and I happen to see some guy that he works at Vons. I didn't know he lived there. He's like just trying to get his stuff out. And he's like, hey, I'm going to go to work real quick. I have to see if I can, take off, from work. I'm like, I'm sure you can. Just get out of here. I get my daughter. Our friends are packing up their car. She's like, I take your daughter too, but I don't have enough room in our car because we have a small car. So I said, don't worry about it. I got her.
Mm-hmm.
So I get my daughter in the car, and then all of a sudden, I bring her back to Temescal. I see some friends driving by, and like I'm like, oh, where are you going? They're all going to hotels in Santa Monica. I'm like, all right, well, maybe I do need a a place in Ventura. So I called my coworker. I'm like, hey, do you mind if I stay there tonight? He goes, no, absolutely stay there. And I start taking Temescal north to the yogurt shop because I wanted to get cash out of the yogurt shop because I had a little bit, and we closed out. Oh, by the way, I should go back to that. And the yogurt shop and toppings, my employees were asking, should we close? And I'm like, I guess so. I mean, yes, for your safety, close. Like, I don't. There's no reason to be open if no one's going to be there, and you guys need to be safe. So we closed the shops.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the shop just to get cash to have cash, and obviously yogurt because I need my fix. And
Mm-hmm.
I make a right onto Sunset from Temescal, not even thinking of it. My daughter goes, Daddy, look behind us. And I turn around, which is like right here. You can see the mountain. And I'm like, holy shit. Everything was on fire. I didn't know. I'm like, Jamie, look straight. Don't look back. Just look straight. I called my wife. I'm like, you got to do anything you can to get out right now because it is insane up there. She goes, I keep hearing that, but I don't see it from where we were in the Highlands. All of a sudden, we're on a group chat of people in the Highlands, and it says they're open now. Everyone get out. You have 20 minutes. So everyone gets out and like literally darts in their car, gets out. My wife takes her SUV, gets the hell out of there, gets to the other side of the road because that was open, and she got out on PCH. Now I'm in here. I was in this shop here, got some
Mm-hmm.
cash out, and then I went to make a left onto Sunset just so I can meet them. Make a left, that's closed. Try to make a right, and it just packed up. It took me an hour and a half to get through to the Huntingtons just to get out. And it was getting worse and worse and worse. Now it's like that dark brown covering, and I'm like, well, this is
Yep.
absolutely not normal. And we get on to PCH. Sorry, we get on to PCH from Chautauqua, and then finally get on to the 10. And then I get on the 10 to the 405, and I told my wife, just go north, And she's like, what's north? My friend has a house there. And I look back on the 405, like right in that exit from the 10 to the 405, looking over so you could see it,
Yep.
and it's just in smoke and it's dead stop traffic because everybody is videoing and taking pictures. I'm like, that's our home. Like that is
Yep.
where we live, our stuff. But at that same moment, all I cared about, all my real stuff is in my wife, my car. Like that's really what everything that's important to me is. So that kind of gave me some
Hmm.
solace at that point because I couldn't think of a single thing that was at the house that I really, really, really cared about. I mean, maybe my bar mitzvah tape. I mean, whatever, right? But other than that, there's nothing that I cared about. And I kept on listening to KFI 640 AM and the news, just kind of seeing what was going on. My daughter asking a million questions as a third grader, important ones. Do I have school tomorrow? I'm like, do you have a school at all? But what are we doing with the dogs? What are we doing with it? I'm like, I don't know, sweetheart. Like, we're just figuring it out. And I'm going constant back and forth with my wife, and then the text chain of the Highlands of everyone's finally getting out. Now it's around like 5 o'clock. It said 2.5 hours or 3 hours to Ventura, which should take an hour 10, right? And
Hmm.
we finally get to the house around 5:30, 6 o'clock, and just everyone's talking to each other, and then it starts pinging. So and so's house is gone. So and so's house is gone. So and so's house is gone. We're like, what the? Holy sh! Like these houses are gone. And I'm like,
Yep.
okay, that's 5 houses. Okay, not a, it's a big deal, but like I just and then more and more and more, and then we're on all of these WhatsApp, which I had to get off of WhatsApp because it was just too much for me. More and more, and I
Hmm.
couldn't. I'm like, where are these people watching? And my daughter has a Tesla, and we tried to get inside just to like see like Sentry mode to see what was happening with our house.
The camera.
Yeah, and it
Hmm.
wasn't working for whatever reason. So we are like, all right, at least we could see the temperature of the car, and the car was yeah,
Oh
the car was
wow.
steady. It wasn't like going up or down. So then I was like, all right, we're going to be here for a couple days. This is absolutely not like a one night thing. So I went to Target with my daughter in Ventura County now with my daughter. And then by the way, my office, we sent everybody home because it was like now everything's starting to get on fire. And it's like, all right, go home, be with your family. Like who knows what else is going to start. Really bad winds at this point. And I'm in Target in Ventura with my daughter, my son, her friend. My wife's giving me the list of things to get, which is like not my strong suit. It was looking at Target because with my ADHD, I just buy everything. I just don't even think about it. I'm like, yes, we need this, we need
Hmm.
this, we need this. And God forbid I got the travel size versus like the big size. And all of a sudden I get like 10 texts in a row from all my friends being like, holy shit, Yogurt Shop's on TV. And I'm looking at the video and it's the guy in NBC News and he's on this corner right here and he's looking over and he doesn't know what's going on. And he's like, and this is what's I think is a yogurt shop burning down right now. And I'm like, oh,
So you had no idea until you're
no idea.
watching it on
No
live view.
idea. And then my wife and I also own Toppings, which is behind there, if you could see it. And I could see a little bit through where the fire is to see like Toppings. I'm like, oh, that's oops, sorry. That's both of them. And then my daughter and my son are like over my shoulder. They're tearing up and it was so heartfelt for me to watch them tear up that I was tearing up because of them. Not because of this, because it was in action mode of like making sure my family's okay and they were okay. And to me, that's all that mattered to me. But when they started like crying, and then my daughter's friend started crying, and then my daughter was like, "This is where I had this after this practice," and my son's like, I remember when we first bought it." Like they just started saying all these things quickly, and I'm like, "All right, now I'm gonna bawl." So I started crying too, and I'm like, and
Yeah.
we have no idea what's going on with our house. We have no idea what's going on with anything else. And then all of a sudden we hear, this burst down, this burned down, and then it's kind of one of those weird things that you hear, almost like fake stories about things burning down too. And you're like, no, it didn't burn down. But someone said it did burn down. You're like, I don't even know anymore. So we have no idea what burned down. And I get home and I call my wife. I'm like, it's gone. She's like, our house? I'm like, no, the shops. She goes, what do you mean the shops? It was in the Highlands, the fire, right? Like, that's the insane part. I'm like, no, both of our shops are
Yeah.
gone. She goes, is Beach Street gone? I'm like, the whole street is gone. And then I sent her the video of Starbucks and this and that. She's like, what the? Are you? This is insane. I'm like, I know. And then my wife started crying. And then her two best friends called her. Their houses are gone. And then it was just snowball after and then it was like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and then I was just they all went to bed. Actually, they went to bed around 11:30. I just sat on the couch in this rental house and just watched the news. I couldn't not watch it, and just watching more and more and more. And I remember seeing reporters talking to some guy say, like, he was trying to put buckets of water in his house, and the reporter's like, hey, do you mind if I interview you? He's like, no, I'm trying to save my house. And I would have been like, go grab a fucking bucket, help me. Like, don't report this. Like, this isn't my time of need. I will say that the news did an amazing job, but a little sensitivity of like, can I talk to you while you're trying to save the stuff in your house was a little insensitive. Like, be human,
Yeah.
help me for a second. Don't help. But I get it. I get both sides of it. But it was just a little like surreal to watch that. And the next morning, waking up to everything is gone. We had no idea if our house was gone. Had no conception of what was standing, what was not in the Palisades at all. And then just everything kept on rolling in. And I was in touch with, my office, trying to figure out what was going on. I was in touch with my my employees at the yogurt shops, and I'm like, and then I had to close down the Brentwood location because that was evacuated, and then just more and more and more. And yeah, we kind of liken it to like COVID part two for us, right? Because our
Hmm.
kids, and then we found out Marquez burned down, and then there was all the speculation that 60% of Pali High burned down, but it turned out it didn't. It was just a backfield burned down. But then the specific landmarks, did CVS burn down, Ralph's burned down, Gelson's burned down, but some did, some didn't. And then the whole thing, did Caruso's Village burned down, but no, he had a whole private thing, and everyone's like, he shouldn't have, and everyone's like, he should have. So there's all this back and forth conversation.
Well, I can just I can I got chills when you kind of were describing the moment where you're watching, from Ventura,
Yeah,
right, the news, and behind there your shop, and I know for you and your family, right, both shops are your businesses, right? I mean, so I know that's like
yeah,
blood, sweat, and tears. But I think what people also need to know for like the
yeah,
Palisades community, like the yogurt shop, it's a pillar. Like, I mean, for me and my family, I can think about so many times we would go there with my kids, right? And that would be their number one. They'd want to go to
yes.
Beach Street for dinner only because the yogurt shop was right next door and they knew after they could go in. And, I told my son that I was having a conversation with you this morning. And he's like, "Oh, gummy
Yeah.
worms and Kit Kats," because those were the two toppings that he would put on. So like the yogurt shop was a container of so many memories and moments beyond your family. I would say for like all of the Palisades community, it's like a pillar of the Palisades,
A
wouldn't you
hundred
think?
percent. One thing I'll say is because I absolutely enjoyed being there. My wife says we lost money every time I was there because I would just give it away for free to people when they came in. Just because it was someone's birthday or someone's first date or an anniversary. I'm like, take it. And my wife's like, stop doing that. Stop doing that. But we talk about a pillar of the community. There's two parts to it. There's the community part, and then there's the employee part, right? And they're part of the
Mm-hmm.
community. It's not just a physical building, but it's the emotional attachment that people say about our employees. And I'll talk about both of them. This was because we own toppings as well. They both were a location for first dates. They were a location for great grades. They were a location for after proms. They were a location for after dinner special occasions and every other night after all of the plays at Pally High and whatever other play there is in the Playhouse here. It was the first date. I'm sorry, the first place that people will go, for so many different reasons. And I liken it to the Max on Saved by the Bell. I mean, that's my era, right? Like, we just go there after school.
Uh-huh.
I mean, this place
Yeah.
would be lined up after school. It was the most amazing, town friendly place you could possibly imagine in this Mulberry town, right? And I had the opportunity to own it,
Mm-hmm.
and there were times where, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but like, there were celebrities that would see me outside of here, and I'd be with clients from work, and I had Billy Crystal's like, "Hey, it's the yogurt shop guy." I'm like, "You're fucking Billy Crystal. You know who I am?" Like, that's not normal. Kevin Nealon, I'd literally be sitting at Angelini. He's like, "Hey, yogurt shop guy," and I'm like this is how people respond to me. A few months back, Fran Drescher sees me at CVS with my dad, and they're both from New York. And my dad goes, "There's Fran Drescher," and Fran Drescher looks at me and goes, "Hey, yogurt shop." And my dad's like, "Fran Drescher knows you?" I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a local celebrity driven town, but with heart that like everyone is part of the community. And this place meant so much to so many and so many different reasons, which is why my wife and I are actually putting together, we're going to create a yogurt shop truck and go to all the schools that all the kids are displaced at now to kind of just give them that feel.
I think
Yeah.
that is amazing. I think that's brilliant. I think
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
community would love
And
that.
then there's also the aspect of we employed so many amazing people here, not only You know, we loved having this as people's first jobs, and people who would come back from college and bring their friends back. This was my first job here, and we employed people with special needs. We had 3 employees on the spectrum, and we had 2 employees that are deaf. We had LGBTQ plus employees. We have minority. We just wanted everybody to have feel welcome, that they can work here, and everyone that came in to purchase yogurt and have the experience could see themselves in someone somewhere, right? And
Hmm.
at the end of the day, it's selling yogurt. So just feel comfortable being here, seeing yourself an employee here, and the employees love working here too. And every farmers market Sunday, I always had the same employee. Her name is Evan, and I had Miguel working over there. I would go to the farmers market and I bring them breakfast, right? Just because they were part of the community, and I would get all these Yelp reviews about our employees and how great they made it to them. So there was that interchange and exchange of the employee community relationship, and I had to tell these employees, like, I'm sorry, we don't have place for you anymore. And I still had a lot of them work at Brentwood, even if it was 3 hours a day, just to have them work there, because I wanted to give them hours, especially the kids on the spectrum who need that routine. And I actually just brought one of them back because he needed a routine, and I want to give that to them.
Well, Adam, I think you're highlighting an important point, maybe that a lot of people aren't even realizing or thinking about. I mean, it's bad enough with all of the displaced families, right? All of us and all of the Palisades that are kind of elsewhere right now. But I don't think people are even aware of what you're highlighting, right? All of the employees from all of the businesses, right? Like the yogurt shop. What are they doing? Like, what are your employees doing right now? What are all the employees of the other village businesses? Like, what does that even look like? You're connected to those conversations. Where are they?
Yeah, I mean, for instance, I know for like a fact Alfred's Coffee, which is in the Caruso Village, and my
Yep.
daughter and her friend went to
Yep.
Alfred's in Santa Monica and saw some of those employees there, which actually I loved feeling that and seeing that. So great they're working there. But
Yep.
I can't speak to every single business around here. But Vaughn's is open, and
Good.
they had some of those employees back. And I literally said to them yesterday, because they were so happy to see us that we came back, and they're like, "Do you have any special requests? We'll get it for you." Because they don't have much there. They have like 10 apples, 10 oranges, a couple dozen eggs. Because there's not much there. But to see the employees back is actually really amazing. But my employees, we had 22, and now we have 3. I mean, there's not much I can do. It's a small business. I tried to find jobs for a lot of them, and my wife and I, amazingly, somebody in the community did a GoFundMe for us for these shops, and I was just paying them for 2 months because you can't. I couldn't just not pay people. It was rough. We definitely lost some money, but I don't know. To
Mhm.
me, it was worth it, and to me, it wasn't about the money. To me, it was about livelihood.
Yeah, I saw the GoFundMe that one of your friends put up there, and I think that's live. So for anybody watching this, it's going to helping, right, the employees within the yogurt shop. And I came across it because I just searched yogurt shop online and your name, Adam Wolfson, and it was up and live. And it's funny you mentioned Alfred's. I'm actually really close friends with Josh Sad, who's the founder of kind of that brand, and he shares the same heart that you're kind of echoing. Adam, I know you're an entrepreneur, right? And you and I have had more conversations kind of post the
I
fire,
don't
I
think we
think, than
actually
we
met
ever
before the
had
fires.
personally, pre
Yeah.
even know our yeah, even though like I know our kids obviously are the same age and same grade over at Marquez. Grayson has transitioned out of that class for right now, right over at Walgrove, and I would see you at all the Marquez kind of community gatherings as the
Well,
yogurt,
the
the
best
yogurt
part
shop
is
guy.
got it is like
But
when I
I
tell
know,
them I have another job. Like again, I'm senior vice president of sales for iHeartMedia, which is
yeah.
a pretty big gig in itself. Like, oh, you have another job? I'm like, yeah, yeah, I'm not here every day.
Yep. But it speaks to just the impact, right, that business has on our community. I mean, my favorite part, even as you're describing like the celebrities or all the people, I can't tell you how many
Yeah.
photos I
Well,
have of my family just on the benches right out front. Like that was my favorite, just
the bench
just the
or the
benches. Like that
wall
was the
over there
best
lined
part,
up.
right? Is the bench
The
did the bench make it? The
That
bench
bench
just
did.
didn't make it.
That bench did. No,
Ah!
there's the
That's
wood bench is
why.
under there somewhere if you could see it.
Yeah. Yeah, just those benches because it would force us as parents and a
Yeah.
family just to create a pause, right? We would go there, we would get the yogurt, we would sit on the bench, and it was like family time that unfortunately in such a fast-paced world today,
You're
just there aren't
making.
enough of those moments. But I know Adam,
Sorry.
I know in our conversations, like kind of post fire, I love our dialogue, and we have similar beliefs, and I know you lean to an optimist, right? I think entrepreneurs in general, we kind of move toward how do we solve problems, how do we fix, right? How do we have a positive slant, and that kind of gets us through all the stuff. And I know you said like you got everything out that you wanted or needed. I got to ask, like we're 4 months post. Like, what has been the biggest loss? Whether it was a physical thing, whether it's an emotional
Friendship,
thing, like what has been?
friendships,
Go there.
friendships. Like definitely. Sorry, it's like I see my kids, which is really rough, and their friends left.
I think, and you're
Sorry.
gonna make me tear up because, like, and I love how you jumped to that. No, there's no apologizing. I mean, I think everybody that is navigating not only the Palisades fire or the Eden fire, but like people don't realize that our whole community just scattered, right? And I think Mark,
And I have to think about the challenge of like my daughter's got a year and a half left of high school. My son's got 3.5 years left. I mean, my youngest is in third grade, so it's still different from her. But like, do I have them just stay in this town? And that's not a high school experience for them. It's just not an experience that they've already did COVID for 3 years, and that was something everyone dealt with. I get it, but like, if I have the ability to change it for them, and I feel like I'm not changing it for them because I'm having them live back there. It's just, what do you do? I don't know. I don't want to. I mean, I don't have. There's no playbook for this, and like I see my daughter who, her best friend moved to Manhattan Beach, and like, it's tough. My son's friends just moved away, and my youngest daughter, her two best friends moved away, and I'm assuming it's like this for you, but like our friends, we're not. I'm not from the Palisades, so I'm here 11 years with my wife and two of my kids, and the third one was born here. But you make the friends that your kids are friends with their parents. Like that's how you make friends. And when their friends are
yeah,
gone, our friends are gone too. I mean, luckily I go to an office and I see the same people every day, which is a huge, amazing opportunity for me. But my wife's two best friends, they're just gone. They're gone. I mean, they're talking to them via text and phone, but might as well be talking to our family and friends in New York at this point. It's just they're not here, and it's like, oh, we'll see you in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, not 3 times a week, or go to Cafe Vita and see them for brunch twice a week or lunch twice a week, and that's your family and support. And I know it sounds crazy, but I listen, like I don't know the blue zones, longevity, things like that. One of the most important things is community and support and having a
yeah.
sense of purpose and relationships. That's all
Relation.
gone, and it's like, all right, we're 4 months in. What are we doing? And everyone says, "What's your plan for the shops?" And I'm like, "What's my plan for my family?"
I appreciate you sharing and being open. I can relate deeply. I think if people, and if no one's ever asked me that question directly, but I think if they did, I would go kind of the practical side, which is the financial piece. But the financial piece is functional, right? The emotional answer, the weight of it is what you just gave, right? And it is, and the same. My daughter Sadie, right, has small circle,
Yeah.
right? It's a hard shell to crack, right? And her two besties, two, right, who were
Yeah.
inseparable, are in different schools now, right? And watching her navigate that, and same thing with my son Grayson. The reason he switched schools is because his unit
Yeah.
right at Marquez scattered, and there was nothing holding him there. And I don't mean to put you on the spot because none of us have answers. You said there is no playbook, but like just even for my own advice and all of us that are navigating this, like how are you processing this? Is there anything you're doing or attempting to do, or is there anything we can do as a community? Like how do we make steps as parents with the weight of these decisions for our kids in such important years? How are you looking at it? How are you thinking about it? What are you doing about it? Or is there anything we can do together
Well, I'm
about it?
definitely buying my kids happiness. That's number one. So like all their birthdays passed. My son in January 25th. My daughter's both in April, and I'm like, whatever you want, whatever you want. I'll just buy. My son wanted like an expensive e-bike. Absolutely. My daughter wanted absolutely. Like that's. I will say that like comically it helps, and like it's okay to do that too sometimes. Like I mean, listen, we live in the Palisades, and they have a very nice life, very charmed life in terms of materialistic and safety, which we're affording them that. But at the end of the day, happiness doesn't necessarily come from money. And when people say money doesn't buy happiness, that's bullshit. It definitely helps buy experiences with your families versus being away from your families, right? So we're doing the best we can in terms of that aspect. And then I have now moved from material experiences to life experiences. So what I'm doing now is each of my kids, we're going away with each of them separately for weekends. So like this weekend, Memorial Day weekend, I'm going with my son to Austin,
Okay.
and I'm going with my daughter to Banff in a few weeks, and then my wife's going. And even if you can't go expensive and far away, that's okay. You can go to Laguna for a night, right? Like those memories. My dad said this many years ago, back when I was a young kid. He used to take me, my brother and sister after my mom passed away, and he would have us all take a day off separately each, and he would take off from work, and he would just spend the day with us, whatever we wanted to do. And he said, "You'll always remember that day more than whatever you were going to remember in school." And it's so true because I remember those days. I remember those days with my dad. So now we're just trying to create experiences with our kids that we wouldn't probably have had because life was so fast. And also having them have experiences with their friends in some way, shape, or form that, I'm trying to help them make new friendships because as much as I want them to keep the friendships that they had, they can't just be barriered in and closed off to new friendships at the new schools that they're at. Does that make sense?
Oh, I think I mean, I'm getting chills when you're talking. I think it's so important, right? The recognition of the importance of people, relationships, community. And I'm a huge fan, Adam, that one of the best ways to build
Yeah.
relationships is shared experience, going out and creating those shared experiences. You know, what I'm also hearing is kind of like, it's weird. There's nothing like extreme loss, right? Extreme loss, extreme devastation, like the scenario or circumstance we're all in right now, that one of the gifts that comes out of that is kind of
Life.
a clarity
Life, yeah.
on like what actually matters. Is there anything else in that vein? Is there anything else kind of post fire, like what you're saying, right? That's like become very clear, or this is important, right? Or a reshuffle of values or priorities, just in general, having gone through this madness.
I definitely have told my friends, not necessarily my family, because I think my family knows how much in love with them I am, right? Like I tell them every day, and I bear hug them, and I don't. I mean, you always tell everyone you love them more, but like my kids are like, all right, I get it, you fucking love me, get over it. But I definitely have told my friends in a more vulnerable way, especially guy to guy, that I appreciate them, and I don't think a lot of guys do that. And like I have a circle of buddies that I'm just like, hey, like I miss you and I love you. Guys don't do that, right? They just don't do that. And I know my wife and her girlfriends are doing the same thing because it's nice to hear it. Just telling somebody else how much you mean to them to make them feel good
Yep.
has been really amazing.
Yep. Without any expectation, no strings
Yeah.
attached, just because
I mean,
it matters for them.
and you're going to hear it back, obviously, because that's
Yep.
human nature.
The
I'm not saying
reason.
it's here. What'd you say?
But that's not the intention you're saying, right?
Right. I'm not saying, yeah. And I always say to if I say to my friends, I'm like, don't say it to me back. Say it when I'm not expecting it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I definitely have learned to say to friends more that I appreciate them and I miss them.
Yeah.
One of the things, again, not being from LA, having friends and family from New York, it's when there's an earthquake in San Francisco, everyone's like, are you okay? I'm like, you have no idea how geography works to you. Like, there's no effect on us here in LA.
Yeah.
But there were so many people that really like just reached out to me from third grade because they're on Facebook with me, right?
I hear what you're saying though, right? It's an intention thing, right? So it's like it's this heightened sense of gratitude and appreciation, and you share it. And even though you might be saying the same thing you said before, the
Yeah.
intention right
Yeah.
behind it is at a whole different level. It's genuine. It's deep. Is there anything else like that like you've really learned about yourself, or you've really learned about community through all of this?
Nothing says screw dry January than having a fire on January 7th. I'll tell you that. That definitely learned that. January 8th, my wife's like, "Fuck this," and we just drank. Um, I care so much less. I don't care what happens financially anymore. I don't care what happens financially. I don't know. I just want to do everything for my kids' happiness now because I feel like they've been through so much. This is the second coming of COVID for them. They only went back to school 3 weeks ago after 3.5 months. Think about it. Like they were on Zoom school
Mhm.
from 9 to 12 every day. That's what they were doing 5 years ago. And these are
Yeah.
the kids that really dealt with it. And now we go back. Yesterday, I went. Five other buddies that I hadn't seen since January. All of them lost their house. Went to Baltair, and we all just hung out and drank. And people came over to talk to us. And like, it was just a weird situation where like, people came over to talk to us and blah blah blah. And everybody else's life was so normal except for ours. Like completely normal. Like nothing happened. And it is true. And I mean, I happen to see a couple people in there from the Palisades that, you know, maybe had life disrupted, but everybody else has their normal life. And I go into Santa Monica and everyone's life is normal. And the weirdest thing is if you go in Santa Monica, if you go anywhere in LA and you say you're Pacific Palisades, everybody's like, oh, now it's, oh, right? And Pacific Palisades isn't a
Yeah.
hugely popular town that people know around the country, right? That's not like everyone knows LA is Beverly Hills is the rich area, right? When you say Pacific Palisades now, everyone
No.
knows what it is, and they're like, "Oh, is your house okay?" Yeah,
And they're scared to ask the next question, right? They're like, yeah, yeah, like, do I ask? Do I not ask? Do you still have a
I,
house? Do you not have a house?
I
Yeah.
really don't. I really dislike that question because I don't think people realize the struggle that we have to deal with now. Now that we have no insurance and we're back in the house, and but by the way, I did lose two of my businesses, and my kids lost their schools. I'm like, I don't even care about that. The house means nothing to me, literally nothing.
Well, Adam, what are the challenges now? Obviously, the rest of the world is way moved on in the news cycle. Obviously, you do this professionally, so you're tied into both of those sides and kind of where the public conversation is across the world.
No,
And
no.
Palisades is not even a mention or a blip anymore, right? But here we are, and what's behind you is the reality. What you're showing us today is the reality. What are today's challenges? Like, what are you facing today that's the hardest part that maybe people are just unaware of?
Loneliness at the house. Really, like coming home to my house because insurance is telling us that we're not getting money anymore because our house is standing, even though we overlook a complete burn zone, and we get to get our house remediated. We did all that stuff, but like it's our street is okay. The next street over it, which is what we overlook, is gone. The mountains are gone, and I come in every day and I have to go through Sunset, and it's a war zone, and it's so lonely here, and like my kids are like their friends won't come because their parents don't necessarily want them in this air, even though the air is fine, right? Even though we're getting testing done, all of it is fine. And it's super lonely here. It really is so lonely. And by the way, I every time I come out of my house, I have to stop at every blinking light, and cops are everywhere. To go, I pass the National Guard to go home every day, and to go to work every day as a National Guard. My kids have to see the National Guard with rifles
Yep.
in their hands every day. Now, granted, it's not an actual war, so they don't feel danger, but that's they. I want to see them seeing other kids smiling, having fun, talking to each other. They don't see that. So that's the challenge: is the loneliness, the non-normalcy of life now, or I should say, the new normal of life for them. And as soon as you walk outside the Palisades, everything's fine. There's nothing abnormal at all.
Yeah, I know, and I've kind of been using that
Yeah.
same language, like, well, I'm trying to
Oh.
adjust to this new normal, but
And
like,
yeah,
there's nothing normal about this new normal. And one of the things you're highlighting that has become more apparent to me just in
yeah.
conversations like this, because obviously our family lost our house, right? So like the thought would be, well, if your house is still remaining, that's a better situation. But what I'm hearing and feeling and what you're illustrating here is it's really not, right? I mean, even if your house is perfectly standing,
Yeah.
right, it is a whole additional realm of stuff, right? We're all in the same boat, whether the house is there or not.
It's especially tough because if your house burns down and you're getting it cleared and you're getting the larger house 10% more, all that stuff, right? Like you know everything in your house is new and clean and fresh. I'll never know that. I'll never have the comfortability knowing that like there's no toxins, there's a guaranteed no nothing there. I know it sounds crazy, but that is like my OCD in the back of my head of like, am I doing the right thing for my kids? um am I doing the right thing for my kids, like health wise? I mean, we had all these tests come back, but like honestly, Blake, who the hell really
Yep.
knows, but like it's really
Yeah.
disconcerting to me. The soil, the water, all that. I mean, we got a new water filtration system, we got all that, but who knows, Blake?
I mean, I don't even know how to process the weight of it. It's like, because there is no answer, and there's not going to be any element of certainty that anybody can give. Yet there's a lot of families I know that are having to go back into the area you're describing because their insurance said they're not paying anymore, right? For rentals, their insurance is done. So financially, there's no other option for a lot of families, right? So we're all in the same situation. what would you say the greatest need is right now for either you, right, your family, us as a community? Like, what is the greatest need? If there was one thing you could just like snap your fingers and it's like, wow, you or the Highlands or the Palisades, we all have this. What would it be?
A greatest need. I don't think about my need. I just think about my kids and my wife. I don't know. I don't. I get into that specific mindset or drive of if they're okay, I'm okay. I'm sure you're the same way, right? Like, if they're okay, you're okay. No matter what you're dealing with, whatever they're dealing with, as long as it like you yours that doesn't matter. So I'm just looking at it in terms of what do they need, and I don't know. I don't. They need their friends. They need their family. They just need love. I don't think they need to keep hearing from their family and friends, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" That's not what I don't think is needed, but just like being with them and spending time with them. I think everyone from the Palisades needs that because everyone here lost some friend to moving away. Everybody. So I don't know. I think it's just human
Yeah.
connection at this point. But listen, this is the reason we're doing this, right? It's for human connection. This is the reason we have phones in general. It's human connection. Everything we do is for human connection. We're social beings. Even the people that are antisocial are watching YouTube and this and playing video games to put themselves in a different space for some sort of connection. And that's what people need in life. They need connections. There's a great author, Johann Jahari,
So,
and he just talks about the need for people.
yeah.
Just reach out, ask someone how they're doing. Just be open to, hey, you're more than welcome to complain to me or challenge me or however you want. Like, again, money, obviously. I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't need that. I'm not gonna ask for that. Right? Like, I'm not gonna say, I can't speak for every family monetarily. I just can't. I don't know who needs what. And everyone's going to need something different because there's just everyone has a different circumstance of what happened. Like, your family lost your house, so you're not going to be back for a while, so you're in a new community, and in that new community you're just going to rebuild and foster that new human dynamic. My family's different. We had to move back to our house and there's nobody there, but some of our friends are moving back, so we're going to probably become closer with the friends that we were close with but not as close with, right? So our friendships and dynamics are going to change. But in terms of need, we need to just laugh and love. I mean, that's all I've ever wanted. And to me, like, that is happiness, is laughing and loving. Um, if you're laughing and loving, you're not thinking, how much can I spend or what can I buy or where can I be? Can I be on a tropical island? The best times in your life, when you think back, it's not like, oh, it was a great just experience laying on the island or the beach. It's laughing and loving with family and friends, wherever that is. Sometimes it helps when you're on a beach, but still. If I'm sorry, if I'm not giving you like enough context as to what's needed, but I just don't.
No. I think that's the real answer, right? I guess where my mind goes, Adam, is there anything that anybody anywhere can do to help foster that need, right? I mean, if this got shared enough and got in front of the right person at the right place, right, or right group, is there any sort of support that would make a difference, right? Is there any sort of call to action that us as a community would need that maybe people aren't thinking about? That would help with what you feel is important right now.
I think that we need to have more community events. Maybe obviously not here in the Palisade, but like a few weeks ago, we had an event in front of Garden Cafe, and about 300 people were there, and it felt amazing. And I hear the July 4th parade is going to come back by Paul Revere, and that's amazing. And I think we need more of that because what's going to happen is people will start to forget and have their new life, and it's really hard to get people back once they have that new life because it's tiresome, right? Like, why would I come back if I'm happy? Like, because with their new lives they're going to be happy too. They're going to find happiness, which means that why would I go back to what I was doing if I'm already where I wanted to be now because I created it? If that makes sense. So longing for that, like, community and doing those community. We don't need to have like I don't think we need fundraisers. Maybe we do. Who knows? I'm not asking for that. But just like having events like that was so amazing. Everyone was crying and laughing and hugging. And for a minute, yes, you could see burn zones, but it didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we're burned doesn't mean like doesn't mean it's gonna be like that for good. So I think those community events, if people want to organize them, that's amazing.
I love that vision. I'm smiling because Karis and I found that by accident. So we were actually up at the house, right? Because it was the time where our house was getting cleared by the Army Corps, and we were up there, and we were driving back through the village, and we saw the sign, and the sign was like Palisades Garden Cafe event. We're like, okay, well,
Right.
right.
Yeah.
And
And how good did that feel?
It was amazing. We parked down the street.
Yeah.
We walked up, and it was just people dancing in the middle of the street. And
Yes.
it looked like
Yes.
the scenery. It was like out of a Mad Max movie because
Right.
you had burn structure to the right, you had
Everywhere.
burn structure, you had burn structure, and then you had the garden cafe, and people just dancing in the street. I was like, this is amazing.
We had DJ Cascade DJing. We had kids coming back. Like this, I brought like two what you call it, a yogurt, 2 coolers of yogurt, and it was gone within 5 minutes. It was 200 yogurts gone, and my wife's like, and that's why we're losing money. I'm like, yes, but everyone got yogurt that they hadn't had in so long, and people were coming up and like, thank you for bringing this. Like this makes me feel good. So it's that feeling of love and community.
I love it. I can feel your energy. Adam, is there anything else that's giving you hope right now?
I don't know. I think that my son and I, we go e-biking a lot because you better fucking use it because it was a lot of money. So we go e-biking a lot, and we see a lot of the places being cleared quickly, which is great. But then I look back here, and like this isn't touched at all. Like this business has not been touched. But Beach Street has been cleared. That little restaurant next to it's been cleared. But not much else has been cleared. Like everything on Via de la Paz, I think, is pretty burned down still. Like toppings is still there to burn down, and this is burned down. I do know, I hear all the time of different areas being purchased, and people say, "What are you going to do with the yogurt shop? You're going to rebuild?" Listen, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I don't know what stats you're hearing. I personally don't think that the Palisades is going to be at least 60% for another 3 years. What do you think?
I was going to ask you that question. So your brain is 3 years.
For at
That's
least
kind of
60 to 70%, yeah. And so it's like, do I even do a yogurt shop because people aren't going to be here for another 2 years, But I will do it. I will. We will be back. I mean, there's no question we're going to be back. People keep asking me all the time when. I'm like, I can't. It's not like Field of Dreams. If I build it, people will come. That's not how it's going to work here. People have to come, and then I'm going to build it because I have to. It has to make money for itself at least. You know what I mean? I'm not a millionaire. That's things we got to figure out.
Well, I think you're already making steps in that direction. I think your vision of the yogurt shop on wheels and bringing the community to wherever the community is a beautiful vision. And I know that might be in one end something that keeps the business going, but I'm telling you, Adam, that is bigger than you realize because it is a pillar, right? It is a statement showing the community is here and we can figure it out. We can adapt. We can reinvent. We can find a way even through this mess. So I think I'll be one of the first people in line at whatever the first stop is when that truck exists. That's for sure.
Thank you.
I want to be mindful of your time. Is there anything else you feel that the world needs to know about where we're at right now? Where the conversation's at right now, and anything that's not being said or anything that's being overlooked or you feel people should be aware of?
I just think the biggest thing is emotions. That's all. I say that's all, but that's a big thing, right? Feelings and emotions. Because at the end of the day, this is just stuff. And unfortunately, there were people that passed away, which is obviously the worst part about it, right? It's not the stuff, it's the people. I don't know. I think every day is a very, very new day, and everyone has different feelings every day. One of my buddies who I work with, who lives up in the Alphabet Streets, he just got his plans approved. They're going to start. He's got his lot cleared. They're going to start building in September. It's going to take 14 months, which we know is not accurate. It's going to be like 18 months to 2 years. But his house is 10% bigger, and he's all excited about the drawings and things like that. And I think that really helps people too. So everybody, again, if you interview the next person from the Palisades, they may have completely different feelings than I do on what's important to them, or what they're excited about and things like that. But at the end of the day, all they care about is their family and friends. So that's going to be so common throughout. And then the employees that we worked with. But it's just about, it's about people. This is about nothing. Let me rephrase it. There's nothing more important than the people of the Palisades that we shouldn't be talking about. Like, it's all about the people.
I think it's beautifully put. I think it's spot on. I think it, in the midst of all the things we can focus on, it brings us to what matters most, regardless of where we are, right? watching this, listening to this, or where we're at in Palisades, navigating this mess. Adam, I'll let you close out with any other closing thoughts. We've covered a lot, and I just want to say thank you for going through the mess to go back to a place that I know is emotional just to sit in front of, and walking us through the moments. That takes strength, right? To just be vulnerable, be real. And
Can't believe you made me cry at 9:30 on a Sunday. Thanks.
But it's real, right? I mean, it brings us to what matters most. And, we didn't talk about things that were lost. We didn't talk about, the politicizing, right, of the conversation that's happening. We talked about the core, which is community, which is relationships, which is, being fractured and how we hold it together. You gave us insight on, as a dad, right, what you're doing to help navigate, your kids through experiences and one-on-one time. I know I'm going to take a page out of that. I think a lot of people will get value from just prioritizing, right, experiences and relationships and the emotional side as we navigate all the other practical, functional mess. And maybe I'm, an optimist like you, but I do believe conversations like this, where we share real experience, right? Things that you've lived through, how we're processing all of it, can help shine a spotlight where the world has moved on a conversation that shouldn't, on a reality we're living every day. And if we can build enough pressure and build enough attention, right, maybe we can create some change. Maybe it starts with more community, right, gatherings and, a nucleus and getting together, and continues to evolve to go rebuild however long that it takes. So I just want to say I appreciate you for being willing to have this conversation, being open and honest. We've covered a lot. Is there anything else you want to leave us with before we round out?
Two quick things. I'd say it's definitely, obviously being a parent, but also being a husband, right? Like, my wife's life completely changed as well. Not, at the end of the day, out of the five of us, my life changed the least. I still go to work every day and see the same people every single day. So I have a lot of normalcy in my life. My wife's life is completely different, taking kids to different schools and completely rerouting herself, living at home where she would hang out with her friend. It's and she's an adult processing this, right? Like, it's her life is completely upside down too, which is, challenging as well. And then I'd say the last thing I wish we didn't talk about is, they're opening up PCH soon. So what does that mean for us? They're opening up Sunset soon. As much as I can't stand going through this town and all the lights and everything like that, the security, the National Guard's going to be gone. What does that mean for us? Now, granted, I'm in the Highlands, so there's only one way in and one way out, really, right? But that's scary. That's really effing scary. And I don't know what I want or don't want, but, that's definitely, we're definitely anxious about it.
Yeah. And that's coming up here in like 2 weeks, right? I mean,
From what I hear.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's going to be a long haul, a long journey, and we've had enough challenges in the first 4 months, and sadly, I think we're still at the beginning of more new challenges to come.
Yep.
But thank you for the time today and for being real with us. And for everybody that this falls on, if you feel moved, right, share the conversation. The whole reason why we're doing this is just to make these conversations real, right? Highlight things that matter, and to go shine a light, right, on stories like Adam and his family that are not just his own. They're stories that represent thousands of people as we all navigate the same situation. And I think we all can learn from each other, whether we're in Palisades, we're in LA, or we're navigating our own heart, our own loss, right, somewhere in the world. And, how can you help? Share, right? Share this, right? Help us shine the light, help us create the attention, because with that, we can make a difference. So Adam, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for going there on Sunday. Thank you for being open with us and, sending love. And I appreciate the time.
Thanks, Blake. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to this story. Everyone we share is a brick laid in truth. And this movement, it's bigger than any one of us. It has to be built by all of us. If you know someone whose story deserves to be heard, maybe a neighbor, a friend, a family still fighting, you can nominate them at www.brickbybrick.la. Their voice matters and their truth belongs here. You might be asking how you can help. Share. Help us shine a light on what needs to be seen, because attention creates pressure. Pressure creates accountability, and accountability drives change. Thank you for listening and for standing with us. Your presence here means more than you know, because you're not just watching a story, you're now part of it. Together, we rise, story by story, step by step, brick by brick.